Okay, and before we get to anything else, last month you suggested something along the lines of this for merch for anybody going to the Eisner induction ceremony in San Diego this year. I had a quote, better unquote thought and had Birdsong working it up. We both noted that the E and the logo was the same gray as Cerebus. Birdsong asked what text I wanted, and I didn't get back to him quite fast enough. I'm thinking it should be, quote, Dave Sim 2026 Will Eisner Hall of Fame inductee, unquote. But if you have a better idea, we're all ears. Birdsong suggests, quote, in small print below it reads, quote, charges more for everything now, unquote. I like that. I think that's very funny. What the high price that people pay for inducting Dave Sim into the Will Eisner Hall of Fame, you pay more for everything now. We should maybe think about putting the Eisner Hall of Fame logo on the front of Cerebus and L with a question mark over the next year or so. Um, um, Except that at that point you're interfering with the parody, which I don't like to do. But maybe if we can find a natural spot for it to fit in. Anyway, uh, Manly Matt Dow and Birdsong uh, take a gold star out of petty cash. I think you guys deserved it. And who was it? So it was you, Matt, that did the color version with the Infernal Comic Con. I don't think we want to go there. If you want to, if you or anybody else want to wear a T-shirt to San Diego that says Infernal Comic Con on it, don't look at me if something really untoward and weird happens to you. The one was definitely meant to stay in the funny books. It was not supposed to go to San Diego. Although I suppose if the comic books are in San Diego, what are you going to do? I also thought of this, and it made me laugh. Will Eisner thinking, Dave, who? I'll probably throw it up and not sell anything. Also a Birdsong production. You can maybe get somebody to wear that one to San Diego, and come on, we've got to include the Dave haters in the celebration here. So if you want something that suggests that Will Eisner never even heard of Dave Sim, by all means, put it on a T-shirt and wear it in good health. Okay, and still before we get to anything else, before we please hold for you, please update everybody on one, the strange death of Alex Raymond. Which page are you on? I just finished page 697. How many more pages do you think you have left until you're, quote, there, unquote? That I can't really speculate on right now. Um, I am now past the speculations on um, the sequence of events that followed the death of Margaret Mitchell and its impact on Ward Green. And now I've moved on to the stories that Ward Green was writing for Alex Raymond to draw in Rip Kirby, that is trying to improve his situation, having basically just killed Margaret Mitchell metaphysically, and then from the metaphysics to the actual physical death of Margaret Mitchell. So the first storyline is Peril in the Snow, and it's it's got a lot of Eddie Kana's research in it, taking specific panels and going, okay, this is why this panel looks like this. This is why this whole storyline takes place in the snow, as far as Eddie and I are concerned. And here's the reproduced, reconstructed Alex Raymond panels, and then here's what I think Ward Green was referring back to. There was a particular sequence in it, a story about Willie Seabrook and Aleister Crowley. I saw a woman turn into a wolf that I think figures prominently in Ward Green's thinking, and that was a distillation process. But I got it done. I got it down to about 4 pages where it's got room to breathe. It's got the Cosmopolitan cover for that story written by Willie Seabrook in 1931, documenting events that he and Crowley experienced in 1926. So that was the biggest narrative chunk that I had to go with. If I can keep Peril in the Snow to the 16 pages, the blanks that I've got on the wall, I'm about halfway through the wall, and I hope halfway through Peril in the Snow. Most of these are just going to be checklists. It's not going to be, here's what the Rip Kirby story was about. Here's all the characters in it. It's like, no, this is just, here's what I think is Ward Green's checklist of what needed to go into this story to try and save his ass from the metaphysics that he had unleashed on the world and on himself. After that, I'll do a quick check here. Hang on. Okay, like I said, Peril in the Snow is the one that I'm working on. I think I'm halfway through the checklist on that one. The next one is The Plays the Thing, which ran from March 1950 to June 1950. That one, I've covered a lot of it elsewhere in The Strange Death of Alex Raymond. So it might be I'm hoping it's actually a very, very short checklist on that one to go, okay, covered all of this. Here's what I think Ward Green is doing here. The next one after that is Return of the Mangler, which ran from June 1950 to, where is it here? September 1950. That one's going to slow me down a little bit because that's the, that resonates with Prince Rainier and Grace Kelly in a major way, where when you're reading the story, you're going, oh, okay, well, he's riffing on Ward Green is riffing on Prince Rainier and Princess Grace, and it's like, no, that was like 5 years later, which is one of those comic art metaphysics things where, since that was definitely coming to the end of Ward Green's life, he died in January of '56. And particularly in Alex Raymond's life, who died in September '56, when the whole world was going berserk over Prince Rainier and Princess Grace. Alex Raymond must have been going, didn't I draw this story? I think I drew this story. Yes, I did draw this story back in 1950. The one after that is The Caged Bird Song, Freudian slip, The Caged Songbird, and that ran from September 1950 to December 1950. Again, I think I can get that one down to one wall full of specific references. Even though I've got like a correspondence box that's like an inch and a half thick, that is full all the way to the top with single space typing, examining every inch of the caged songbird. And it's like, no, this is Strange Death of Alex Raymond, the graphic novel. You got to get this down to at the most 15 pages or so. Same thing with The Little Man Who Wasn't. Very interesting stuff in there, but shouldn't be hard to, I don't think it'll be hard to distill. Then 1951, now we're getting to the point where Ward Green wrote Rip Kirby through until about July, August, September 1952. And so the checklist on that is maybe another half dozen stories on top of that, 1951 to 1952. And then general observations that one of the scary things about it is that even when Ward Green wasn't writing Rip Kirby anymore, it still had all of these resonances in it. And it's like, did he send notes to Fred Dickinson, who took over for him as the scripter on Rip Kirby? Or was it just that Fred Dickinson was walking into this occult quagmire built basically by Aleister Crowley, Willie Seabrook, and Ward Green, and consequently, you can't just stop that when you've had enough. Even when Ward Green leaves, you're the one that's stepping into his shoes, and you're going to have to pay some prices here. So there you go. That's as close as I can get in terms of how many times do I have to fill the 16 pages on the wall with distilled references to the comic art metaphysics that that Ward Green is perpetrating. Probably 7, and at a page a week. That's just going to get me okay. Now we're to the end, and then after that, I have to start doing a deeper dive on. Okay, here's what it all means. Here's where we're still living with it. Here's where it cropped up in 1965. Even though Ward Green and Alex Raymond had been dead for 9 years, it's very difficult to look at this cultural artifact and not go, well, this is the same thing. This is manifesting itself, but even 9 years after the principals were dead. So there you go on that one. Any chance of working on finishing any of the mock-up pages? Depends on how old I am. Depends on how my eyesight is holding up. Depends on how the wrist is holding up, and depending on how much stamina I have. It's still extremely unlikely that I'll ever get Strange Death Alex Raymond done, just because 70-year-old men don't do this, and if it takes you another 10 years to get this done, don't want to even picture what the 80-year-old Dave Sim is going to be like, and what capability he has. But as long as there's breath in my body, I will keep going. Ninja High School crossover. What page are you on? I now officially have all of the pages numbered, and unless I've made a mistake, I'm on page 65. How many uh, how many more pages do you think you have left until you're quote there unquote? Looking at it, I'll describe Ninja High School Cerebus in terms of um, how it's being published, which is 16 pages at a time. It's definitely going to be 5 issues. Uh, Whether that will be 5 16-page issues, in other words, it's a total of 80 pages, or if number 5 is going to be slightly longer to accommodate the ending on the book. Um, don't want to go too far past 16 pages because it's not really making money. It's thank you to all the backers for making it possible, but it's not really making that much money. So can't really start thinking about 24-page comic books or 32-page comic books, which would be nice. If that does happen, it would be okay. And instead of it being 5 16-page issues, it will be 6 16-page issues. So that's the closest I can come to an answer on that. Spanish Cerebus, Spanishibus. When's this coming down the pike? Well, I can refer back to um, uh, the last part of Please Hold for Dave Sim that we moved to the first part of Please Hold for Dave Sim. That's all of the intel on Alfonso's Spanish Kickstarter for Cerebus and Spawn 10 in Spanish. Um, it started in my mind as just a checklist thing. It's the theory is Spawn 10 was never published in Mexico, so consequently there's this huge pent up demand for Spawn 10 in Mexican Spanish, and we're all going to get rich off of this. I don't think that's going to happen because it just doesn't happen. But it will be interesting to see what kind of reaction there is, and how many people get in on it. Spawn 10 script book. Where this at? Did you forget about it? It's like, no, I haven't forgot about it, but it's definitely been demoted from the coffee table to the upstairs closet as the expense of producing any kind of publication and shipping it anywhere. I don't know what kind of demand there is for it. Uh, you did, didn't you? No, I didn't forget about it. I never forget about things if I say that I'm embarking on it, but definitely the real world and real world factors, costs and shipping expenses are weighing against it. Um, you write, I had the thought that since you have the script and your thumbnails were in one of the notebooks, and you have Neil's script and thumbnails for number 9, and that if somebody could get the scripts for number 8 and number 11, then all 4 of them could be printed in a single volume called Spawn Worst Blood, a play on a miniseries Alan Moore did called Spawn Bad Blood. Whoops, apparently I misremembered. The mini was called Spawn Blood Feud. My bad. You could maybe call it Spawn Blood 4. No, it's more than, no, it's 4 issues, right? 8, 9, 10, and 11. Right. Okay. The profits going to creators in need. Obviously, your version would have to be sold, and all the profits going to the creator you know best, who has the most need, Dave Sim. But later in the future, after you've gotten yours, it's an idea. Again, that's one of those that's getting militated against in the same way that the approach to the 1982 tour book is being militated against. If you try and cram everything in there, you end up having too many pages, and it's too expensive to print, and it's too expensive to ship. And consequently, there is no revenue from it. And whatever else can be said of what I'm working on at any given time, there has to be revenue from it at some point up ahead. And the revenue doesn't come from the kind of completism. I agree with you. The project would be great if it was all four of the guest writers and all covered completely. But at that point, you're not talking about a 32-page comic book or a 48-page comic book. You're talking about a 196-page square-bound book, and no, I got to stick with what I think is going to work for the long term, which is the canned portfolios, because it's the minimal number of items that need to be printed for the maximum amount of revenue, and doing that as frequently as possible. There isn't a slide rule big enough for me to be able to say, or for anyone to say, okay, this is what it's going to cost to print a 300-page book. This is what it's going to cost to print a 200-page book. In 2031, it's like I couldn't even tell you what's going to cost to do that in September. I couldn't even tell you what it's going to cost to do that in March. So we have to stick with what we know and not be tempted off in these other directions. Okay, the next can portfolio. When you want to do this. Like I say, I'm doing it now, and everything is off of my desk and onto Birdsong's desk at this moment. So it will be as soon as possible, either after the Spanish Kickstarter launches or before the Spanish Kickstarter launches, depending on who crosses the goal line first. You guys going to remember the backing board cover idea? Yes, as a matter of fact, Alfonso came up with a variation on the backing board cover idea, which is it's a backing board, but it's also a postcard. It's got all the postcard stuff on the back of it. So if you don't want to keep it as a cover in a plastic bag and a backing board, and you want to send it to somebody as a postcard, it's a postcard. So I thought that was a very clever idea on his part. The more different uses that you have for these, if you're charging like $5 each, the better it's going to be. It's a backing board, it's a cover substitute, and it's a postcard. You're going to offer the previous issue's covers as backing boards for the fans who only want one copy of the issue, and the plethora of variants as backing boards. That's why I'm starting to steer away from the variants, because I think that the more you try to put lipstick on that pig, it's still a pig. And people are justifiably going, no, if I'm going to buy these, they're like really, really expensive. Let's tone it down on the backing board covers. That has to be weighed against the fact that David Birdsong is the cover genius of all time, parody cover genius of all time, and I'm trying to stick to that. Just like let's just do the comic book. Let's do a really good cover on it, and everybody goes home happy. But every time Birdsong thinks of something and says, "Hey, what about this?" I threw this one together. I look at it and I go, oh man, I want one of those, and I don't buy things, so that's always going to be a balancing act. Okay, you're referring to the secret Matisse the Unknown Turtle Matt Dow cover that you did, and that Benjamin Hodges colored, and Birdsong tweaked a little bit. So I'm not going to say anything more about that. Um, I said no at first, and it's like now that no is becoming a qualified no, and then you've got another suggestion here in parentheses that makes me go, yeah, maybe it's now a definite maybe, or a likely. And like you say, and of course, if you read that part out loud, it's not much of a secret gag anymore, is it? No, it's not. So that's why I'm saying nothing more about that. But that's just between you and me, Manly Matt Dow. Original Sim Remaster. Birdsong took the original Sim art and recolored. He might be American, but you're Canadian, so we go with that spelling. No, I don't think that's legitimate. Mine's in black and white, so if it's colored by Birdsong, it doesn't have a U in it. Uh, uh, Recolored them to look better than they did in Marvel Fanfare number 25. If I remember right, the idea was to offer them as bonus prints. But if you offer the 5 plates as original art scans and then as recolored versions, that would be a 10 plate portfolio and could be its own Kickstarter. Just a thought. Yeah, I don't think we want to get that far off of the reservation. We want to stick to the Kickstarter being the first 10 pages um, uh, of that particular graphic novel, and do that through to number 16. There are variations that are possible, and there's always things that I'm considering. I mean, the offsite art storage place is filled with potential bonus prints. All of Strange Death of Alex Raymond is potential bonus prints from the original artwork. Um, Ninja High School Cerebus is 80 pages of bonus prints. I'm trying not to completely Walmart everybody, just overwhelm you with choices. So it's always a balancing act, and it's everything is in play mentally as bonus prints. I think the most successful thing last time with Can 12 was offering the rest of the issue. And yes, as you suggest here, um, the Cerebus number 232 is all still in the Cerebus archive. So it will be possible to offer the first 10 pages as the Can portfolio, and then the rest of the issue as bonus prints. And the first 2 pages, which are the title and the first chapter title, are the first 2 pages. I've taken a lesson from everybody. No, we want those. We want those included because that's the completest thing. It's like, right, exactly. So, and I commented on those pretty extensively in the notes as to why the lettering looks like that. So, yes, as far as I know, there would be a consensus on Can 13 being the first 10 pages, bonus prints being the rest of the pages in issue 232, and maybe a few other things besides, like um, try, goals to get the get the revenues up. You get these 3 bonus prints or something like that. But definitely got the idea that First 10 pages is the portfolio. Last 10 pages of the issue is the bonus prints. And no, I don't think we're going to be doing the photo covers as prints. We're going to try and stick strictly to artwork. Just a personal prejudice on my part, and this is a dictatorship, and I am your benevolent dictator. Silver Spoon, the specs on the website Tom Palmer Jr. used were size 332 by 475 millimeters, 4 to 48 pages, folded, CMYK, as Mr. Palmer Jr. said in his second email, which I may have sent in a previous month's questions, or not. Hi, very nice to see Dave talked about the possible Silver Spoon broadsheet on Please Hold. I'm not sure if you still need me to chime in on this, but here's my 2 cents anyway. The broadsheet size from print newspaper is 332 by 475 millimeters, which works out to roughly 12.6 by 18.3 inches. I don't have a copy of the original Silver Spoon strip or a CBG from that era on hand, so I don't know how those dimensions compare. I have a few copies of CBG from the early 1990s, and they measure around 11 by 14 inches. Still some variables to cover there, Tom. Note that broadsheet copies will be folded in half. Color printing does not cost anything extra, so it sounds like it's up to everyone else if this is just a straight black and white reprint or an upgrade with color and other bells and whistles. I personally think a new cover from Dave, even just a redrawn panel from the original strips, would mean more copies would be sold, but that's just my opinion. Print newspaper is based in France, and all orders will be shipped from there. According to their website, they ship free to the U.S. with no customs or tariff charges. All of the shipping and fees are built into the price. Shipping is also free to Canada, but there will be customs fees. When I changed the shipping destination to Canada, the price increased a little bit to $4.82 a copy, just a slight difference from the $4.52 for U.S. orders. Depending on whether that's in Canadian or U.S. currency. I'm assuming that if it's getting calculated online, they're going, well, if you're asking about Canadian prices and Canadian shipping, you're probably in Canada and you're expecting to pay in Canadian dollars. Just a guess on my part, but you have to watch that because what was it? Yeah, 482 in Canadian is not going to be 452 in US. For your information, they also print in smaller quantities. So if Dave estimates that only 50 copies will be sold, that would be around $7.17 a copy. Bump the cover price up to $15 maybe. They offer sample packs that include both tabloid and broadsheet sizes, as well as a design guide. I signed up for one just to see how the newspapers look in real life. Maybe someone can sign Dave up for a sample, and maybe everyone else involved in the decision making can do the same. There you get into, if we do it, I don't think it would be its own Kickstarter. I don't think it would sustain it. It would have to be mixed in with something else. So it would make sense because of the size that we're talking about that it would be combined with one of the Can portfolio Kickstarters. There you get into, well, okay, are we now offering too many things? At which point, out of the 98 people who are going to be buying on this Kickstarter, are half of them going to go, oh, I have to have one of these? Or is that going to be 7 or 8 people who just go, well, I always liked the Silver Spoon strips. The idea of having a broadsheet version, that really appeals to me. I gotta have this. How many gotta have people is really what the whole thing hinges on. Matt says, I think if you were to pursue this project, I'd get all the costs figured out. Yeah, basically exactly what I'm saying. Then figure out what kind of profit AV is looking for, and then do it as a Kickstarter with a goal of whatever the cost plus profit number looks like. You could even make color a stretch goal. That's an idea. So you're looking for $1,000 to print in black and white, but if the Kickstarter reaches $3,000, then the strips will be in color. As I understand it, that's how you're supposed to run a Kickstarter, but your plans may vary. Yeah, all of that is still guesswork, all of it depending on collective demand, which is individual demand multiplied by the number of backers. If you want to talk about unpredictable, you look up unpredictable in the dictionary, and there's a little picture of that right next to it. Number 9, any project I couldn't remember that was in the pipeline and I forgot about it. It's been known to happen. No, I think that covers everything. I am close enough to the end of Ninja High School Cerebus that I am starting to think, okay, I want to go back to the original premise of why I thought Ninja High School Cerebus was a good idea, and it did work, that doing just basic lunch bucket cartooning is a good break. If I can alternate Strange Death of Alex the Raymond pages, which are arduous, and I tend to overburden myself on them, with something where, well, this is fun. So I'll probably be, I'm not starting to talk about them now, but I am thinking that there will be projects up ahead where it'll be, no, this is like real cartooning. This is just really, really simple. All you got to do is put it down on the page. Hardcore manga or hardcore manga or Mobius, that kind of thing. That's what I'm thinking about.